Hi everyone, I'm Nadia, and in today's video I'm going to be sharing different ways that you can add a gold trim onto your resin art. I get a lot of questions regarding this and I figured I'd just put it all into one video. The first way, and in my opinion the easiest way, is to use a gold paint marker. These are some of the ones that I like to use. So we have Let's Resin's chrome marker, this deco color marker, and this edding marker. I started using an edding marker since I first started working with resin, so it's something that really stuck with me and tends to be what I always reach for. It's very convenient to use and the application is very simple. I will mention, however, that this always requires more than one layer. I always add on a first layer and allow it to dry before I go ahead and add on a second layer. The amount of layers that you'll need will depend on your marker and how new it is. Of course, the newer markers tend to have a better application than old markers. So with this, I'll usually apply around 3 layers. The downside of this is that it can be rather time consuming. And this can also slightly fade over time. For example, in about a year, it will not be as gold and shiny as it was when you applied it. If you want to ensure that it stays on as long as possible, it's a good idea to cover it in a coat of varnish. The next way is by using a gold varnish. In this video, my mom is using a liquid metal. My mom uses a small makeup brush to apply it onto the edges of her coasters, but you could also use a Q-tip. It may take a little bit longer to apply, and you need to use a little more attention to detail while applying, and it would also be a good idea to add on more than one layer depending on how your first layer came out, but this will likely last longer than the gold paint marker. This also has a really nice and shiny finish, as do the markers in my opinion, but they are a slightly different shade of gold. This way can also be a little bit more messy if you're not careful with how much of the product you're applying onto your brush. You could get unwanted drips onto your surface or onto your coasters, so you do need to be a little bit careful in that regard. An alternative to this, and something that I like to do occasionally, is to mix alcohol ink with a gold metallic powder. So for here, for example, I'm using Let's Resin's alcohol ink in a yellow shade, and I'm mixing in some of Resin Pro's gold metallic powder in the shade Oro Rico, and once those two are mixed together, I can brush it on to be my gold trim. And here I'm showing applying it onto these eco resin dishes. And you don't have to use a yellow alcohol ink, you can also use a white alcohol ink, because this yellow alcohol ink clearly makes the gold more of a yellow tint. So if that's not the shade of gold that you're looking for, you can adjust accordingly. However, with this combination, it definitely needs to be sealed with a varnish. I use the same combination on the small geode resin art around the glass pieces, and I really love how it turned out. I did seal it, however, with another layer of resin, so I think I would recommend this combination more for works like that can be sealed with resin versus on a gold trim, because it may not last as long as you want it to. And another option is to use gold leaf. This one, in my opinion, looks the best. It offers such a beautiful, rich, and shiny gold. However, depending on the product that you'll be using it on, it can be a little bit of a hassle to apply and quite messy. I have this gliding adhesive set which has everything that you need and is so convenient. And as always, I'll have all the products that you see in this video linked in my description if you want to test out any of these. So you'll need to apply a gliding adhesive onto the surface where you want to stick on your gold leaf. So I'm using a small paintbrush to apply that onto the edges of these jewelry dishes. This probably wasn't the best project for me to choose the gold leaf because the edges are very thin, so while applying the gliding adhesive I needed to be very precise. So this ended up being a little bit of a mess for me, but it does create such a beautiful gold trim. After you brush away the excess gold leaf, the remainder does need to be sealed to make sure that everything stays put. We use this same gold leaf gliding set for a wall art piece, and I think I prefer it much more in this setting. Here we used some painter's tape, and we left a very small amount of space in between the painter's tape where we could easily apply the gliding adhesive and then stick the gold leaf into place. We allowed that to dry and then slowly pulled away the painter's tape, and at the same time we're using a brush to brush away any of the excess gold leaf. And here's what it looks like. And that is all for now. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, subscribe to see more videos like this in the future. Follow me on my Instagram, Summer Girl Designs, and my mom's Instagram, Wild Heart Resin Art.